Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Talking Cardboard. I'm John, and today we're going over my weekly games recap. So, these are some games we've actually played over the last couple of weeks, but we've been really bad about getting on here, making some videos on what we've been playing and kind of giving our initial impressions on these games. But I do think we've played enough games recently that I'd like to talk about that I've played and what I've thought of them. A couple weekends ago, we actually played, like 4 new games to me, or the last 2 weekends or whatever. But the first game I'll talk about is Irish Gauge. This is a game that me and Corey, while we were at PAX Unplugged last, fall, winter, roughly, out in Philadelphia, we were looking at buying and never really pulled the trigger on it. But Corey decided that it was something he wanted to try, and he got it about a month ago, and we finally got it to the table, and I think it's actually a really fun game. It's a pretty simple game, quick, easy to learn, not a ton of rules. Basically, all you're doing is you're buying stocks in these different colored railroads that start at various locations along the Irish map that's on this board, and you're basically adding track onto these railroads and trying to connect various cities or towns, and you're kind of balancing this with pulling cubes out of a bag for like the stock market hitting and everyone getting paid out dividends for the railroads they own, and what they connect to is all what the value is based on and how much money you get, and then the money for each railroad is then split between the different owners of the stocks, and each stock for each railroad costs a different amount or has a different amount of stocks that each that can be owned. So some railroads have 4 shares that people can buy into and split up, and some only have 3 or some have 5, and that kind of adds like a random element to the game of what you're trying to buy into and what railroads are starting to connect to cities and towns that are more valuable. And there's pink, black, and white cubes that you're placing on these towns for different can't remember exactly what they're in game, but basically like different commodities that these towns have, and these are the cubes getting pulled out of this bag, and the stocks are hitting on. So if your track has all 3 colors connected to it of town, your odds are better of getting a better payout, because now all of a sudden, instead of just paid out for a pink cube that gets drawn from the bag, now if a pink and white cube gets drawn, now you're getting double the value. Just a really interesting game, and I still haven't found out a good strategy for it. I've come in second or third every single time. I'm just not good at bidding mechanic games, and you're kind of bidding for these stocks. Granted, they have minimum values, and you want to try to sneak in and get something for that minimum value, so at the end of the game you're coming out more ahead. But it's a really interesting game, I think, and I would definitely say this game's got legs, and it's something I enjoy playing and will continue to play, and hopefully we'll do a full review on that eventually. Another game we tried briefly was actually a game Nick brought over, and that is Project Elite, and it is like a action real-time strategy game, I guess I would call it, because basically you're each picking a hero and you're creating this board that has objectives, and you're fighting aliens, and that's kind of the gist of the game. But the main part of the game is the action phase, and what you're doing is you basically have this pool of dice that you're rolling constantly to complete various actions, and you can lock your dice into your weapons or to objectives on the board, or other equipment you might pick up throughout the game, and spending them, and then you take all your dice once you've spent everything you can, you re-roll them, and you keep going through this pattern for, I think it's 2 minutes for each action phase, and it's very interesting. You're basically just trying to wipe everything off the board, get to these objectives as fast as possible, and usually there's also some side interactions with these phase cards and things that can happen in between rounds, that you might have to complete certain side objectives in order for these negative effects that can be put upon your party to go away. We only played it once, and we kind of played an elimination game where we're trying to get to these alien nests and just basically trying to roll like the gun symbol to exterminate these nests and, you know, knock the aliens back. And while I think it was pretty fun, I don't know how much I really like the real-time aspect of the game, but it's definitely a different experience. You know, usually you're sitting there, you're planning out your turns, and then completing your actions and seeing what happens from there, and then you've got another whole phase of other people taking their turns and planning out what you're going to do, whereas this, it's just, boom, madness. You get these really cool weapons that can be obliterating like half the board of aliens. You can actually accidentally be bumping aliens into your own people, making them take damage, and it's just really interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely another game I need to try more and see what I think about it. But yeah, I would say it's kind of in that middle range of something that seems interesting, but I still not quite sure if it fits my taste of the game. Now, the one game that I do really like, and no shock because I'm a World of Warcraft fan, and I think that helps, Ryan got the new Small World of Warcraft game, and I had never played Small World myself before, so I had no clue what to expect. We got this thing set up at our charity game day for the first time toward later in the night, and while that first playthrough was a little confusing on what was going on, I think now that I've played it 2 or 3 times, I really like this game. For me, I think it's cool, the special abilities they gave with the various factions from World of Warcraft, and all the special abilities you can get to go with those factions, and I think that they did a really awesome job. They have artifacts in the game from World of Warcraft. They have, you know, special locations from World of Warcraft that do special abilities that I think are very fitting to the theme of World of Warcraft and the lore that it brings to the Small World game. I really have had a lot of fun with it every time, and I think it's cool. You know, all the different strategies that have come out with the different pairings of the factions with the special abilities and how to make those work. There's definitely been it's quick to see like something that's going to be powerful, at least initially, to get some good starting points in the game, versus special abilities or pairings that just don't work well at the beginning of the game and maybe are better if you're planning to be more like aggressive with other players and factions on the board. Nick kind of got roped into starting out with like a dwarves with bombs, and bombs really have no effect if there's no people adjacent to you, and he basically built out his empire and never really got people to swarm him, and these bombs he was putting out were basically useless and didn't really help him build his empire and get the max amount of points he was really looking for. But still, I think the mechanics of it were cool. It's just, you really got to be careful with what you're taking, and trying to do the rise and fall of your empires accordingly to get the most benefit out of, or get the most points out of what you can. I think this game, I'm going to continue to enjoy it. I think I want to play it more, see what other options we can get for factions and special abilities, and I think it's just cool how it all really feels like a different version of World of Warcraft and the conflict that's in that game, because you're still getting the flavor of, if you are a Horde faction and you're killing other players' alliance characters, you're getting bonus points for that, or you can be a neutral character and you can get points for helping either side, and it's just really, really cool, and I've had a blast with this game. It's definitely something I think that's going to continue to be rated pretty highly by at least me. I don't really know what else to say with that, other than maybe sometime I'd like to try, you know, the original Small World game and see what that actually was like, and what my opinions would be on that game and where they've brought it now with this Small World of Warcraft. So I can't remember Corey got a new fast food game that's like basically under the concept of, you know, you're starting up and trying to run and manage and sell food basically as if you were like a 60s or 70s starting a fast food chain and franchising, and I don't know, it was really complex. I don't know even if it's Euro-y or what it's considered, but you know, it has a lot of components to it. You're hiring workers, you're trying to have these workers make food for you, and you have to pay your workers at a certain point in the game, so it's all about like trying to market so that your food will sell, and then, you know, you get the max amount of money you're trying to make, and then you can pay off your workers, upgrade them. I don't know, it's a crazy game. We played it once. I kind of got the gist of what was going on. My strategy was awful. I just flooded the board with a bunch of marketing for hamburgers. And then everyone just ended up selling hamburgers because it's all you needed hamburgers because they were everywhere. Every neighborhood wanted hamburgers. But I still think it was a lot of fun. I just think that's worth more of another try or two to see what I really think about that game and get a better feel for the different strategies involved and mechanics of that game, and really see what you can make of that strategy of a successful fast food chain, I guess. I don't know. But with that pretty much covers everything new I think we've played in the last week or two. Definitely check out these games if you haven't already, or if you have suggestions on other new games we should be trying as we kind of get into the winter here. Can't really do much else, so playing games is back on the table. And with that, from everyone at Talking Cardboard, thanks for checking out the video and hope you're all doing well. Take care.